Where are we going for this tips? Like, do we need to be in like a match together or?
No. I'm just here to like mention a few things.
Oh,
I've
cool.
like been watching like your vids. I just like watching the videos are pretty good. I like seeing people improve and like grind the game. And I think if as you are taking this seriously, that's why I asked because I wasn't gonna go in that in depth. Right?
I'm
It's
I'm
like
I'm not playing this game to suck at it. If that's the question.
no, that's fine. That's fine. Uh, Really, the main thing is, and I've seen this in like your other videos as well. It's like you don't really have like offense. You don't have offense.
Okay.
Like it's not really a mind game. It's usually just like a knowledge check, really.
Yeah,
Right? I
mine
mean, ping
is.
ping aside, I there were many situations where like you could have done something, like you could have enforced something onto me, and I just pressed on it every single time because I knew you were gonna do the same thing over and over. It wasn't really like I was.
Ah.
I knew I couldn't block. I couldn't react to anything in that thing. So my better option is to call things out instead. I was going.
Okay. So what is it like a
Go
good
ahead.
offense for Xiaoyu? What are we talking about? Like, what does that mean?
There's a lot that goes into that. You can honestly watching like high level gameplay will probably give you a very good idea. I could give you basics, but if you're gonna go in like in depth
Yeah.
with the character, you could probably talk to some dedicated Xiaoyu mains. But
Okay.
even now, even like tomorrow or like I guess later today for me because it's already like 3 a.m. Now I can always have like someone who I know secondaries the character but at a high level to coach it. So
Okay.
it's fine.
That's cool. Yeah,
But
if-
really,
just
it's
let me know. Just send me like a message to Discord or something, and I'll try and see when
yeah, no
what
problem.
lines up.
Re-
No
Really,
offense
it's just,
tells me that now. No offense is it. I know how I play. I get that the higher frame stuff,
Yeah.
like easy stuff to understand why not to do that. But I'm thinking it's not necessarily but use low frame stuff as the offense. It's probably also when to apply the offense, right? And I'm obviously not applying it at the times you would be expecting to
Well-
someone to apply it. Is there that in there as well?
Not necessarily. Here, I'll
Okay.
explain it. It's like the basics of offense. The main thing with offense in this game is that every decision that you make needs to have a mind game or something being forced on your opponent behind it. A lot
Okay.
of the big mistakes a lot of newer players make is that they don't have like a mind game or an offense in the sense that all the decisions can easily be telegraphed because there's only one or there's no mind game behind that choice.
Okay.
A move that is a knowledge check is usually a knowledge check because there's only one answer for it and there's only one option.
Yeah.
That's why it's a knowledge check. There's really no like if your opponent can beat this every single time doing one thing and you can't mix up what you're doing at all, it's a knowledge check. It's worthless really. It's not
Okay.
really like worth trying to go for often or whatever. Leo's interesting because Leo doesn't really have any knowledge checks, but that it is what it is.
But you're talking about like if you have a string that has like 5 different ways to finish the string, that's an offense. Like because you got 5
Yeah, no,
choices.
that's definitely an offense. That's a string that's great for its purpose. But
Okay.
what think about that string? All of your decisions should have that. Every decision that you make, every button that you press,
Should have
needs
that.
to have a mind game.
Ah,
Because, for instance,
interesting.
every time, I'll put it to you this way. Right? Every time I press 1, 2, -3, right?
Yeah.
I know all of my options after that. I could step whatever comes out of my opponent, depending on the character and situation. It depends, whatever.
Yeah.
I could step either direction. I could backdash not backdash to make certain things with, but depending on the move, whatever. It has nuance, but that's just the option. I could high crush with my moves that have high crush properties,
Mhm.
and I could use my sidestep move to go around stuff as well. And I could reset. I have a ton of options, and I know all of them. And when you play the game more and more, you learn what people can do to deal with each one. Right?
Okay.
Every decision you make can be a bad one, but it can be a good one, basically. Like,
Yeah.
So, for instance, this is -3, but because of all the options I have on that move, it becomes a very effective mind game.
Mhm.
Right? You remember, it is a string, right? You have 1, 2, 1, 1, or 1, 2, 1, 4. Where
Yeah.
it's like high, mid, or high.
Okay.
So it seems like on the surface, it's a move you can just duck it, right?
Yeah.
But this is just me explaining a fundamental here. I'll get to other things.
Yeah, that's cool. I
When you
understand.
do 1, 2, 1, right? People will instinctively duck the second hit, right? but you as a player do not have to do the second hit. You could let them duck and take the frames that they are giving up from ducking.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a perfect example of how in depth just 1-2 is as
How
an
many
offense.
frames is a duck?
A duck is instant, but the what am I trying to say? It's instant, but the act of ducking and unducking is a amount of frames.
Yeah.
So if someone is fuzzy ducking, which means when someone immediately ducks and gets back up immediately, which people do a lot.
Yeah.
If someone is trying to immediately duck under something, or God forbid hold duck, they're giving up frames. You recover from your 1-2 and have enough time to reset them, put them in a scary situation, counter hit them,
Yeah.
because they're delaying and you can put a button out. So all of those options come into play just from that situation alone.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
all of your buttons, they may not always have this many options, right? Different buttons have different options.
Yeah.
But all of your options, all of the buttons you use should have something like this behind them. Right? They should have a purpose. You don't just do things for doing its sake.
Mental. Yeah.
Everything
okay.
is a purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I understand. Yeah. So
So
like
it's-
every button I click, I need to have. I'm gonna call it a game plan essentially, but I need
Yeah, no.
choices. It can't just be, oh, I'll do this and hope it hits. I'll do this, hope it hits. Yeah.
Never. That's the
Yeah.
first thing you gotta just get out of your head. You can't just do things and expect it to hit. Or because for instance, if your goal is to get higher in rank, that's gonna be the main thing. Everything needs to have a purpose. and you
These
need to
people are going to
understand
be so
all your
hard
offense.
to beat. No, I see
Yeah,
why these
like,
people
really,
are
you're not-
dominating.
You're not gonna get away with it. Trust me, there's probably only when you get higher, you can't even make simple mistakes.
Yeah.
Even recently, I had to practice my whiff punishment a lot because my whiff punishment was a little suboptimal. I lost.
Yeah.
If you're not getting the max out of everything, making no mistakes on everything, you will die.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Okay, that's a good one. What's is there that was point one? Is there other points or is that the?
yes.
All right, cool. And well, does anyone have any questions on point one before we go to the next point from the chat? Give you some time. Should probably change this to learn about Leo title.
I could tell you things about Leo, but some things will be harder to understand if you don't get the the fundamental concepts.
Yeah, and I understand. I know you probably have to go basics with me anyway. Random question, unrelated to how long. Oh, just a question on your game. Like, how long you've been playing Tekken?
This is gonna be real. So I started playing Tekken with 8, but I had to put in so much time to play this game, and because I didn't start with 7. Most people who started with 7 were already making it far. So I had to go from the beginning. I have nearly 2.1k hours in this game.
2.1, all on Leo?
All on Leo, yeah. I never played anyone else. Oh, I played Clive a little when he came out, but after that, no, just all on Leo. I never played anyone else.
I mean, I don't know, splitting 2,000 hours sounds like a lot, but at the same time, I feel like that's not a lot in the grand scheme of Tekken. Very impressive to be this good only playing Tekken 8. Yeah, that's solid. Yeah.
Well, I only had how do I put this? People who play 7, they have maybe 1k or whatever. I had to put in double the time. It's just because I'm new. I didn't have any of the legacy knowledge.
And are you what about, are you just a Tekken only person, or did you come from a Street Fighter game or a Virtua Fighter? Did you come from anywhere else?
I came from an anime background. I played a lot of DVFZ, and I used to, when I first joined competitive FGC, I was playing Shred, Guilty Gear Shred, and then I picked up Tekken.
Okay, which they're all different. They're all different. Maybe your reaction times might be better, but that's maybe it. Yes. Oh,
it's more that I'm used to guessing. All the games I played, that's why Tekken 8 doesn't really phase me as much as other people. I'm used to guessing. All the games I played had heavy mix-ups, high damage, constant guessing. That's just what I'm used to.
Might explain why your defense is at 91 though, because if you're used to doing those reactions, it might be easier. But I don't know. 2,000 hours is a lot. How much does knowledge of the other character affect your planning? That was from Parody.
Everything. Honestly, I really think that that is the one thing you need to have. But ironically, the only way to get that knowledge is by getting your ass kicked. There's really no secret.
And
You have to.
what about
Well,
labbing? Like, how's labbing play into that? Are you a live labber? Like, you do the matches, or do you sit there in
I
there and
no,
just stay strings?
I lab, but I agree that replay. I dedicate all of my like any success I had in this game due to replay takeover. That is the greatest learning tool ever. You really don't got anything better than that. I
Okay.
think I think that's the best tool ever. I lab everything using that because it's easier. You get to lab the real situations as they happen to you. So you're like, damn, how'd I get hit here? How'd this happen? You can answer that question immediately.
So if you
And
have the replay, you
I-
pause it and then you pick out something that you had difficulty with, and then you'll go, okay, what's the answer to that particular move? Can I sidestep it? Can I duck
that
it?
is the formula. I've literally been doing that for 2,000 hours.
Yeah, I can see.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's
formula.
quite useful. Okay, what about
And
like
obviously, there's more to it.
what
Okay.
about on the learning side of that? Like, have you found better ways to be able to remember this stuff, or just practice makes perfect?
Trial and error and fighting character specialists. I had a lot of training. All my best matchups are I trained against a lot of people. I used to train against like the person who first taught me the game was like a Claudio main. So I know Claudio like the back of my hand because I had to learn that matchup to beat him. And then and then I picked up Kazi as one of my best and like Barong's best just because I had a training partner. People I could grind. So every time I learned something new, I could immediately apply it.
Yeah,
Fighting
okay.
that person and trying all this strategy stuff. And then obviously I had my own plateaus. I got coaching, stuff like that, you know? Oh,
Yeah.
It's all a journey.
So you got coaching too. How many hours are we talking about in coaching?
Oh, I got coaching with when I just started, I got coaching with Ty. And when I think right before season 2 started, I got coaching with Speed Kicks.
But like, how many hours of coaching? Like, is it like an hour? Or are we talking like a regular weekly? Like, what are we talking in terms of like if someone's
an
trying
hour,
to
an
emulate
hour.
you, an hour a week or an hour in your whole
Yeah.
Tekken play?
And just an hour of my whole
okay.
Tekken play. Just nothing. I didn't get like consistent coaching all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, when I face like a plateau and I realize that I need some outside guidance, then yeah, I'll look for coaching.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know because like in most things, coaching obviously helps a lot. That's why I was curious if it was like a regular thing or not. All right. Cool. Point 2. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So when it comes, I think one of the main things you want to try and pick up in the game and you want to try and watch is start thinking about the mind game. Start thinking about what options you have on your offense and start using more of your smaller buttons on Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu is a very tricky character and has a lot of different options on offense. And that's the kind of the beauty of Xiaoyu. That's why people play so slow against Xiaoyu because she has all those tools. If you're thinking about your tools, you need to understand why you use all of them and then move forward into just how your offense is. What's your game plan? Literally, what's going to be Xiaoyu's game plan? What are her options? Why would she do this? Why would she do that? Think about it this way. When I had you at the wall, Leo's a wall heavy character.
Yeah.
Almost all of Leo's strengths at the wall. I know all my mind games at the wall. I know that my up forward one has an extension that wall splats. I know that if I'm -1 or -0 at not minus, just 0 at the wall, I have my sidestep move to splat you. I know all my options, how I could splat you, how I could put you on that wall.
Yeah.
I know how to mix you up, how to force you to press, all these different things to just get that game plan. I know Leo's game plan is to force you, get that high damage, and high level Leo's game plan is really being more well-rounded, playing more heavy movement game, whatever.
Yep.
The point is that every single move that is done has options, has tools, has different situations. Now, as I said before, the more you do it, the more you lose and you learn, one, how everyone beats those options, because that just comes with time, seriously. But the more you do, let's say you learn a new offensive tool or whatever, you learn, I learned how to use this Xiaoyu move properly, I know all my options. Now you have to play and lose. You have to figure out how people beat all your options, and then now you could work around that, and then it becomes a real mind game.
Okay, so
That's how I see it.
are we talking about like where, like the optimal spot to use those moves once you know them? So I'm gonna know the move, and then I'm gonna probably use it in the wrong situation and against the wrong character, let's say, and then they're gonna counter it, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I don't do it there. Like, you were talking about that kind of learning?
Yeah, no, that I'm telling you, Tekken is a trial and error game. As a wise person once said, you gotta get washed to get clean. There's really no there's no secret other than not winning. Sorry, other than losing. I'm serious. Winning is not a good. How do I put this? Winning is just a fruit of your labor thing. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily something you care about or you think about at all. It's
Hmm.
just something that hey, you win, you worked hard for this, whatever. Next match. You don't celebrate your victories that long. And that's my philosophy at least. You never celebrate that long.
Yeah.
You take your win, you move on. You search for your next loss because that's when you learn. You search for your next loss.
That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
All right.
the
So
that's the
point
easiest way
one,
to like get things
don't
done.
click buttons for no reason. No, have choices and options from each button I click. Those are the moves I'm looking for. Point two, oh, there was one about using like the smaller frames too. You said that in point one. And then point two is it about knowing when to do those and learning from losses? Was that point two, or did I miss the point?
Yeah, no, that's the
Okay.
philosophy of it. But I'm actually gonna explain more about small frames, so you can kind of understand like what I was saying earlier about this because it goes up, right? This is like deeper frame understanding.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mentioned earlier that 1-2 I could after 1-2 at -3 I could step, I could do all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
The higher your frames go, the less options you have to run an offense or mix people run a mind game, basically, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll explain it like this. It goes for every character, by the way. Some characters are unique, but it
Mhm.
goes for every character. So if I do, let's say I do jab, I'm +1, right? After a jab, you have many options. You could reset into another jab, which will be mashing, but this could be stepped. You can always go into another move. You have a million options after a jab,
Hmm.
right? You're +1. You have these tools. However, it is not +1 billion. If you do jab into down forward 1, for example, which is 13 frames, they could mash on you and you'll get hit,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Okay.
You we go down to 0 now. 0 is neutral, meaning that you're fully neutral. And if two of you do a jab, you'll trade, but you have all of your offensive tools available to you. And usually when these things are neutral, you're in a position where you could use those effectively.
Yeah.
So like Leo, if Leo does forward 2 and he's right in front of your face, Xiaoyu has moves like this too. He does forward 2 and he's right in front of your face. He can easily step around you, sidewalk around you, high crush, whatever. Every option is
Yeah.
available.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
We get a bit higher now. -4, right?
Hmm.
-4, same thing. You have the step tools as well, right? But your opponent now has more options to deal with your offensive tools. For instance, as much as I can high crush and step at this range, my opponent can track me with more tools now because
Yeah.
it's -4.
Yeah.
Those buttons can realign. Realignment are people tracking you. You get more tracking the more plus you are.
Yeah.
Well, not the more plus you are, but the more minus the opponent is on certain moves gives you more tracking.
Okay.
So when we go up to -6, right, or -5, you'll
Yeah.
realize that stepping is going to become a lot more difficult. You're not going to you can get steps at -5 and -6, but it's very difficult, and you won't be able to step a jab. Right? You
Oh.
won't be able to
Okay.
step a jab.
Hmm.
You may be able to step. Let me actually check this while I'm speaking because I can't. No, you can't. You may depend at -5 be able to step a down forward 1, but you cannot step a jab. And then
Yeah.
after -6 and -5,
No chance.
you can no longer step a jab or a down forward 1.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
your stepping becomes very limited unless the opponent does a slow move,
Yeah.
right? You can test this yourself. Let's say Brian does. I have it set up here. Alright, so let me put Brian on down for 1. But Brian down for 1 tracks both sides anyway. That's not a bad example. But where's back one?
I think
So,
I think
let's
it's a
say-
good point though. Like you're thinking of your options with the frames matter because like I
Yes.
not knowing that would probably try a sidestep above the -6, right? Which would or worse than -6, which then means that statistically is not in my favor. A very rare chance someone's going to probably throw a slow move out. So you know what your frames are when you do a move. That's like the key, right?
Yep,
And-
and it's the key. It's the key to understanding what you're gonna do on offense. Right?
Yeah.
The game, trust and believe. The game, it's complicated, but I try my best to kind of, at least when I was learning, I tried to like put things in a microscope so I can understand every situation.
Yeah.
The frames dictate your offense, right? What happens, and then obviously your character's options after that frame. So whatever your character can do alongside the frames will dictate what options you have in different scenarios. Because, for instance, I didn't mention this, but Leo has a parry, right? So if
Yeah.
people, let's say someone is trying to down forward one me at -6, I can parry the down forward one. That's a Leo unique option, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just, understanding what your character can do and then understanding the frames and your limitations is the goal.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if I do like so I was doing this earlier. Say I do Wasani 3, right? Which is -6 on Leo. If Brian tries to do a slow move, I can step it, sure. But if Brian does jab, I'm gonna get hit. That's just the fact. I can't move around this, no matter how much I want to. Now I could still do an instant duck in. That I'll get to that later. Let me not skip. Let me not skip any steps.
Okay.
So I can do that. Let me pick a different character because I need to do this down forward one thing.
So you know your frames.
can't-
You know your frames, not just your positives, but you know your negatives, and you know the actual number,
All of them.
and you know your options
Yeah.
from those numbers. Okay. And then how much do you know of the opponents? The same.
I know a good amount. I know how I try to go about that is like I learn eventually I learn all the numbers. But usually what's most important is learning what your opponent options are after every button. It's better to
Okay.
understand what your opponent can do after the button.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a lot.
The
That's
frames
a
matter
hard
as
thing,
well.
right? That's an advanced
Yeah.
skill to acquire, though.
It literally just comes to playing.
Yeah,
Like the more
yeah.
you play, the more you fight certain characters, you'll understand. And obviously, you can study the game and lab and do stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
and speed it up.
once you lab it, you have to apply it.
Mm.
So like for instance, once you understand the opponent's options, right?
Mm.
After it, and then after you understand the frames, which goes in hand with the options, then you understand the opponent's move and then the mind game, and it just goes from there, right? This is how I went about learning most of them.
So the
Let me grab-
Parody's got the question. So you need to know all moves from all characters? Question mark.
Over time, eventually you can pick it up.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're human. You're not gonna get all of them in like a day or whatever. You have to apply them, and the real challenge is not necessarily if you know, but it's if it's gonna stick.
Yeah. Well,
That's the real
question
challenge.
here. Out of all the characters, if you were to add them all together, all their moves, how much of the moves could you like say that you would confidently know at this rank you're at? 50%, 30%, 80%? Like where are we like just give me a rough idea of what you're like sitting at.
I think I'm around maybe 60, maybe 50.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of moves in this
And
game,
that's a lot
but
of
really,
characters.
I know the most. Actually, maybe 70, honestly.
Wow.
Now at this point, like I know a hefty amount. I know the matchups that I don't necessarily like. People like Raven, Eddie, a lot of uncommon characters. Safina, I'm still working on.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Vic,
Because if you're like saying
Victor
99,
Shaheen.
that's different. Like for me, I reckon like 10% at best, maybe even less. Hey, that's cool.
Victor Shaheen, Leroy, Lily. There are characters where like I know the moves that are constantly used against me.
Yeah.
But I don't know all their moves. And that's really the goal. Like a lot of time your goal is to focus on what the opponents are doing. That's your main goal.
Yeah, and Splitting's added the most important thing is knowing the most commonly used and strongest moves characters have. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no point
And
learning stuff no one
eventually-
uses, right?
I mean, trust me, people are gonna use them, but really, as I mentioned before, it's really just gotta get washed to get clean. You know, I'm gonna learn them eventually when I lose to them. So
Yeah, true. All right, that's cool. Wow. All right. How many points have we got? So I can structure this.
it's like 0.3. But
Okay.
what I want to let me actually finish this. Let me finish point 2 first because
Okay.
the minus thing. I was almost there. So -6, whatever. You can't step it down for it. Can't do that. You still maybe have parry options depending on your character, and some evasive tools as well. As everything is character dependent.
Yeah.
However, usually this is when things start to get really restrictive. After -6, your options become very limited. Usually the only option you have left is either resetting, which means that even though you're -9, you're still gonna press. You're still gonna press like a jab.
Mm.
Not like a jab. You're gonna press a jab. Because jab is the fastest option you have to reset here. So if you're trying to say, oh, maybe you have some mind game behind this -9, right? For instance, Leo actually has a move like that. He has down back 1+2, which has a second hit that wall splats. So people won't mash immediately on it. They'll delay to not get wall splat. So I can reset with my jab, right? Stuff like that.
Okay.
So unless you're resetting, which is obviously going to be one of your main options, or doing a delayed move to reset after that -9, you are fully restricted to either doing a risk. It's a risk to do that, obviously, right? Going for any move after -9 to call out anything is a risk.
Yeah.
Right? But you could either take that risk, or you could take the risk of doing what people call a flash duck, or what I call a flash duck, which it means that, let's say you do -9 and you're predicting he's going to do a jab, right? You can immediately duck and punish that jab.
Yeah, and then your turn.
So besides that, that's pretty much it. That's all the options you have. Right?
And
everything.
How'd you get to the lucky number of the 6, the -6? How did you get? Like, where's that come in?
It just depends on the move. While standing 3 is a very interesting move for Leo, though, because as I mentioned before, it depends on the move.
And it depends on the character. So a Leo might be -6, but another character might be -7 or -5. Is that what we're saying here? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it depends on the character in that Leo has a mind game after this -6, right? A lot of the time you'll see, like, I'll do while standing 3 into like down for 2+3 for run a low or run a delay timing mix-up, because people instinctively block here because there's a second hit that can counter hit them if they stop blocking or if they press. So Leo has more incentive to do stuff after that -6 than other characters. That's just how Leo works. You know?
Okay.
So yeah, it really is character dependent.
Okay. All right. Then
so yeah, that's pretty much the list. One thing I will mention is, just like how I mentioned that resetting, like with buttons, is a read at -9, especially. It's the same thing with stepping. You can step at -9, but nearly everything will track you. So if you're going to step, you should be stepping with a purpose. This is in general tip, obviously.
Yeah.
But you should always be stepping with a purpose. So if I'm fighting Brian or Jin, let's say I'm fighting Jin, and I'm like, I'm gonna go for a read on a 4-4-2 after my -9. Yeah, and I'll go for the step, right?
Yeah.
Call it out. That's like why I would go for that decision. But usually, -9 is when you're most restricted, so it's hard, and only if you're doing it with a purpose, you should not be just doing whatever on a -9. And that's pretty much the frame conversation in Link, and how it coincides with offensive options and decisions.
Now, how does someone work their way up to getting that knowledge? So, like, because I'm thinking, okay, I go find the moves that I'm like positive on, then I'm like -1 on, -2 on, and then look at the options they've got from there. Is that the way to work it up? Like, you should go from best to worst, or is there any like tips you can provide on the learning side of that?
I think how I did it was I studied a lot of games with Leo, and I just learned all the options on my moves, and I learned all the counters over time, right? Okay. So usually from just getting my ass beat, but also me labbing the counters. For instance, like being plus in this game, unless you are plus 1 billion, does not guarantee you anything, right? It may guarantee you, like, for instance, I'm telling you, everything. Tekken 8, the reason why people complain about Tekken 8 is that certain situations you really can't do anything except block or guess.
Yeah.
But most things in this game, trust and believe, in my opinion, and it's not even an opinion, it's a fact. Most thing in this game, you have many options to do with it. Plus frames is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You have tons, and it depends on the character, of course. But you have tons of options to deal with this. For instance, let's say Leo at +4 and on a down 2. I was hitting you with this, you were mashing, so you got hit.
Yeah.
But the thing is that this is very in-depth. If I do down 4-2, I mean, I was reading you, but the thing is, down 4-2 is -13, right? Okay. It can call out steps and stuff like that, but if I go for that, I'm taking a risk at that -13 punish.
Yeah.
Same thing goes, like, let's say I want to be safe now, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do 1-2. They could easily duck and step that 1-2 and launch me, right? Easy. Oh, let's say I'm like, I don't want him to duck my down 2. I want to do down 4-1. They could step this and launch me. Easy.
Yeah.
On Leo, you could step that and launch Leo. If I want to go for a low, they could low parry and block it. Everything has a negative. There is no like.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. There's always a counterplay.
Will always work. Always a counterplay.
Yeah.
So unless you are super plus, which, as you may have realized in the current season, there's a lot of stuff like that. Unless you're super plus, there's always counterplay. Always.
Okay, and when does it get to uncounterable? Like, what's the frame?
Pretty in honestly, it's pretty much never. It's just that your options may get less. So like
Okay.
I mentioned that you have like a bunch of options after that +4 situation.
Yeah, you
right?
might only have
On
one
Leo.
at the end.
If let's say
Hmm.
for example, you like blocked. They still have stagger stuff. So let's say you're plus like 11, you're minus 11, right? Because of some plus move or some stagger on the wall. Your options are very limited, and you really only have the choice of either you block, which means you guess, right? Either you guess, right? You may hop kick or something, go for like a read like that. Other than that, you have to hold it, right?
Yeah.
You guess by pressing, which is a hard read to make at -11, by the way. But if you're reading the delay timing, you could do it. You're guessing what's gonna happen next, or that's it. It's either you guess or you make a read.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Okay.
it.
Interesting.
And some characters may have more, but actually, no, I'm tripping. You don't have more. It's really either you guess or you read.
Yeah.
Right? So you may see if you ever see like a high level player do something crackhead like Jin does a heat smash and he's doing a read like he's doing like a magic four like reading the timing. He's reading Jin's timing, right?
Yeah.
Because Jin is like delaying what he's doing. It's not that it was a very risky decision to make. I'll put it that way. But
Yeah. Okay.
you got to make those decisions. That's how you win. You got to make those decisions.
Yeah. When to do it. Yeah.
And when to just guess.
Are there any questions for Lofi about Leo in general from the chat? I don't know if anyone had anything that they wanted to ask about Leo specifically, but I appreciate that. Was that all the points you wanted to share for now, or was there more?
Yeah, I mean, I can keep going. I'm chilling.
Great tips.
I have like a ton
They,
of things that I can mention.
Parody likes it. I mean, I'm happy for you to keep going. I'll have to finish the stream around 6 though, so I can have dinner before we start up later. But yeah, happy for you to keep. Oh, the question is when's it's my turn. He asked when it's his turn against Leo, but that really depends on what you used and what options he has. I'm assuming, right? Is the answer?
Depends on the character and the options available to you. Really, that's it. Like I remember someone had said something about the stance thing. Like that really isn't true. There's a lot of options against the stance. It's just that the options are now like Leo has way more tools to deal with said counterplay now, which makes Leo a lot stronger. Leo can also hurt you and do a lot of pressure on you when you decide to block. So Leo is just way more. Leo's a Tekken 8 character now. Right? Can constantly force mind games on you. Incredibly high damage. A lot of situations where you literally just have to guess and you just gotta hold that. You know what I mean? Like that's just Leo has those tools now. It's not that you don't have options. It's just that those options, they're quite. They're not ineffective, but they don't do a lot. That's kind of why people complain about the season a lot. Like, take the stance, right? Leo's stance, besides you can duck the highs, obviously. You can duck the highs in the stance. And you can down jab a lot of the options in the stance.
Yeah.
You could also just press and try to read what's happening, sure. But literally, Leo has a counter to all of these, and if he counters you for any of this, you will explode.
Yeah.
Straight up explode. So that's kind of Tekken 8 in a nutshell. Like, yes, you have counterplay, but the counterplay is so like meh that it could be hard to fully get stuff out of that counterplay. That's kind of like the story of season 2 Tekken 8 in a nutshell.
Okay, understand. So like it's kind of like it can always be your turn if you know what your options are. But then sometimes when you take your best options, if you do the counter to that, I'll get exploded in Tekken 8. Well, maybe in Tekken 7 that wasn't the case. Something like that. Is that the theme?
Just me. I've been like seeing a lot of old footage. It was always like this, but like it was always a two-touch game. You know what I mean? But people's main opinion is that they find that the counterplay options are really just not that great in the sense that yes, you can stop this. Sometimes you can't stop it at all, and you just have to guess. But the counterplay is so like not like effective. Doesn't do a lot of damage. Doesn't get you out of the situation completely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
that people don't like that. That's people's main gripe. So take like Steve for instance, who has like one of the most egregious mind games, like incredibly plus on block mind games in the game. He could just put you at -11 in heat, and you have to just straight up guess. Every option you make is terrible. And due to the fact that you're so restricted, you really only have two options, right?
Yeah.
Like Fee made a video about it if you want to watch it, but that pretty much explains how the game can be at times. You know?
Yeah.
It is what
Okay.
it is. Though.
Now, the question on Leo was that the options that work usually against Leo pressure are avoiding or interrupting. I guess, like, what is the optimal strategy when you're fighting Leo? Is there an answer for that? Or you can't because it's dependent on character?
I mean, interrupting and avoiding and evading and stuff, that's every character. On Leo's weak side, this is a whole conversation. I'm not going to go deep into that right now. That'll be a lot of talking.
Okay.
But Leo's weak side when it comes to stepping is sidestep right. And I'm gonna just preface this by saying, be very careful when you look at things like sidestep charts and and stuff like that. What you need to understand is that no matter what their character's weak side are, every character in the game has moves that can cover their weakest side. All of them. All right, they all have moves that can track you on their weakest side, and they obviously all have homing moves. So it is not I will beat every move I step this way.
Where do people beat you? They apply an offense before you apply your offense. They dominate the neutral. They get you whiff punished, or they whiff punish you, or they interrupt you during your offense. Where is it? Where do you find you tend to lose?
It's I think it's a lot of things, honestly. It could be it's way more nuanced, I think, at like a higher level.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's like it's not as simple as like, oh, because for instance, there'll be times where I'll get beat up in an offense, but I'll make an insane comeback or something. Like it's not as simple as this happened or this happened. It can be a multitude of many factors that could get me killed. Sometimes, for instance, I'll give you a good example. Earlier today, I do not know the Eddie matchup, and Eddie versus Leo is a terrible matchup in season 2. So me not knowing it just compounds to the situation at hand, right?
Yeah.
And even though I didn't know the matchup, which definitely made me lose some earlier games against Eddie, I still was able to make a comeback and win against this Eddie player because just my offense overwhelmed him. Like my neutral and offense won me that game, not my knowledge. But that doesn't mean I was like, you know what I mean? Like it's nuanced. It's not like it's a.
It's not like
you always
there
know
might be
why
like
you
a
lose.
basic tip, but it's not it's not going to serve you well when you get to higher levels. Like you can't just be like, oh yeah, when I do this is the answer, because it's not like that. Because I think,
but it's okay. It's okay to think that way though, because especially like where you are right now, it might really be basic answers. Sometimes the most basic are the correct answers.
yeah,
I was losing a bunch, and I had to ask myself, man, why am I making these silly mistakes? And I realized, damn, my inputs were really messy, and my whiff punishment wasn't optimal. So I just went and practiced the bare basics.
yeah.
Sometimes it's just the basics.
Yeah, okay. Parody says, thanks. I feel like my knowledge is still not enough to hold a conversation, but the tips are amazing. I'll be more aware of my decisions. So yeah, I appreciate that. Does anyone else have any questions or disagrees? We can go that way too.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's many, but
trust me, Tekken is just a deep game. I honestly think that if you want to learn, like right now, I can definitely find people to like a Xiaoyu to really guide you through all of Xiaoyu's options.
I mean,
so you get an idea of like what
I'm not one to shy away from a free coaching session. It's just a matter of will they be around for when I'm playing. That's all. Yeah. So if you can find someone that's on when I stream, that would be the ideal state. Because then the other Xiaoyus can like learn too.
Yeah, sure. But besides, like on top of that, really the fundamental frame thing I told you is like the main, to me at least, was like the main offense thing you need to understand to get started on learning offense at like an effective level.
I think that was the most beneficial for this point in time on my journey, because I did not think like that. I just thought this, oh, they're negative, my turn. And then if I chose the wrong thing, I'm just like, oh, I guess I chose too high a frame. Like I wasn't thinking really about what can I do in this situation based on this frame data that I'm situated in. Yeah,
based on the move, based on like, trust me, the game is nothing in this game is like black and white, and especially like turns in this game are very, very nuanced, right? There's not really such a thing as it's my turn,
Yeah.
right? How do I put this? Every option you have you can counter. You have an option, right? Even the ones where you have to guess, you still have the option of guessing, right? It's not like it's you have zero options at all in that situation. So even like I mentioned, how even at -9, you still have ways to counter options from your opponent, right?
Hmm.
You're never fully out and fully restricted out of tools. Because for instance, while yes, the opponent can just do a down forward one, and you literally can't do anything about that, right? You're -9. You can't parry, you can't duck it, you can't do anything. You have to hold that -9 down forward one situation.
Yeah.
Um, doing down forward one and stuff like that, or like doing certain mids, even at -9, doesn't give a lot, right? Usually you'll see players, like if you watch high level gameplay, they'll try to go for a bit more dip off the chip, basically, right? Even though the opponent may be -9, and I could just down forward one to force them, because that is a situation you can't do anything, right? You lose your turn, you
Hmm.
can't do anything. They may say, I want more of this. I'm gonna do down 2 and be +4. I'm gonna do back 1 and be +4, right?
Hmm.
They could take more because they know you're blocking, right?
Yeah.
They know you're blocking. They know you think your turn is over, so they're gonna take advantage of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So now that's when the mind game comes in. I know Brian's trying to take advantage. I'm gonna step his back one, launch him.
Hmm.
Now he's gonna want to try to force me to not move at all, and then that could help me get out of pressure because then the mind game is easier to deal with than it would be if I got hit by back one instead.
Yeah.
That's the kind of things that go like there's no such thing. At least, well, there is, but it's way more nuanced. It's not just like, oh, this move happens and my turn ends. You have a ton of options on every single turn, even the ones where it seems like you have zero. The only time your turn is truly over is when you are over -10 or -10 or higher.
Okay.
You get punished, right?
Yeah.
That's when your turn is over. You get punished and you have to eat the whatever comes after. That is when your turn is actually over at -10 or higher.
Yeah.
Other than-
Okay.
Other than
Which
that,
is
you
why
have
the
tools,
offense
everything.
comment at the start. Like, I'm just doing moves over that threshold, and whilst I do moves over that threshold, theoretically that means no offense, not a real offense at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it doesn't require offense is something that will require you where you can make good decisions on beating that person's offense, but they know how to counter all of them, or this the situation that they're trying to force on you has an option to cover a lot of those situations. Not all the time, but hold on, let me think about this properly. Offense in general is something that forces the opponent to make decisions that can be good or bad. It should be forcing decisions that can be good for you, and it can be bad for you. It should always be forcing something.
They have
If
to
it's
make
not
a
forcing
decision.
anything,
Yeah.
yeah, they have correct. They have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're not making a decision, then it's not really an offense.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what my point.
Yeah. And to clarify that, it's really giving them a guessing game on what you need to how they should react to you. Like, it shouldn't just be one answer, like not an offense. A strong offense is multiple answers to what you're throwing at them, and then they have to decide what they need to choose. So like slow low as an example, I throw that out. The only answer is to block it, right? Really. But if I throw out like a different move where they now need to have like they might have different answers, that's an offense. Is that kind of the thing?
I mean, it depends on the low with the slow low. Like some lows just have mind games up behind them. But Snake Edge, I'm gonna keep it real. Using it at high ping is smart though, but Snake Edge is useless. It is so useless. There's really no point in using it. That's it. Eventually, like I've gone. I can't lie to you. When I was like, I blocked Snake Edges at this point to the point where I had times where I wasn't even thinking. I just muscle memory block it and then punish that. I wasn't even thinking about the move. My brain just automatically blocks it.
Okay.
That happens to everybody. You will never get that off at a certain point. Never. It's impossible.
What about the cancel?
The cancel you might get because you will get that. You know why? Because people will instinctively block Snake Edge, like muscle memory, immediately block it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
so you might have more effort with the cancel.
Yeah, to provide they don't click after you back turn or something. Like you look for back turn and you were clicking pretty much on point to that. Two things you clicked on was like hypnotist and back turn. I noticed, which is
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
proper play.
because the transitions you were doing, you kept transitioning into them all the time with no difference.
Yeah,
Like Xiao, can counter hit people for trying to press on that. That's like that's part of her mind game, right?
yeah,
But because you were just doing the same option over and over, the same delayed option that basically you require me to be blocking for that to work. So I'm just gonna keep. I'm gonna force you to do the option where you have to hit me, right?
yeah, yeah,
You have
yeah.
to stop trying to take advantage. Like the option you're doing takes advantage of people when they're not
Attacking.
interacting with you, right? When they're playing defensive,
Correct. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You usually it depends on the player, but a lot of the time that takes conditioning. It takes forcing mind games and stuff like that to
yeah.
get people to just block your shit, right? You can't. So the reason, if unless you're forcing something, for instance, let's say you were using Xiao Yu, and instead of going into hypnotist all the time, you've kept forcing an option after that would catch me if I tried to mash on it, right?
Hmm.
You kept doing that over and over, and that option also has a mind game after that, and then it just keeps going,
That's
right?
offense.
Then
Yeah,
when you go into hypnotist now, I wouldn't instinctively. I might be thinking about something else. So
yeah,
then you actually can get into hypnotist without getting just launched for free because I called you out for doing something fake, right?
yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's a mind game. All right. Yes, hypnotist can be a bad option if it's red, right? I have
Yeah,
to read you,
yeah.
reading you doing it. But you could constantly mix up and push and force me to care about a bunch of other things. So by the time hypnotist comes out, I'm not
Ready
making that
for it.
read at that point. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's like mind game 101 right there. It's
No, it's
good.
cool. I appreciate that. Cool. Are
So
there any?
because you weren't doing that, I just kept down for doing you
Oh,
every
for
single time.
sure. And I don't really
Right?
know what else to do, so I got to do some studying. Is the message here? This is great because
Yeah.
this is going to refocus me. I think now is the time to do it. Because if I go back into that rank stuff, I'm going to get demolished. I think I should go back in once I do a little bit more study on what you've just covered, so I can go in there and
Yeah,
at least
man.
try things that are optimal. Cool.
Yeah, no, go. That's the golden rule. You learn something and you go in and you apply it immediately. I play rank. I don't really like playing rank that much, but the only reason I got into it more, I used to just play player and then play a bit of ranked and call myself, call it a
Yeah.
day. But I learned more that way. But I play a lot of rank because I want to master first or two for tournaments.
Yeah.
And besides that, also it's honestly an excellent way to learn skills. Like if I pick up new things, I want to try it out on high level players. Rank is perfect. Really no.
Do you have any closing comments for me or the chat? And does the chat have any closing comments or questions for Lofi? I give like
If
10
I had
seconds. Oh, you go.
closing closing comments is honestly just you gotta get washed to get clean. You're gonna lose so much playing this game. It's not even funny. It takes so long to even learn a basic skill. You really just gotta be committed and in it for the love, and you'll get there no matter what. Everyone can get to God. It's not like it really is just a time thing. It's a time, it's a commitment, and it's not just a time, but it's educated time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How you use the time. Not some people will take longer, like me. Not everyone. Trust me, a lot of people I know got to God way quicker. It took me 1,000 hours. On
Sounds
the
like
dot
the way you've
to
done
get
it
that.
is a smart way. Like it's a sustainable skill. It's not just like click buttons to get there and got lucky. You could replicate it, which is probably why you
you
are
can
now, right? In terms of your rank.
Yeah, you can replicate it, but
Uh,
I tell you, that's the golden rule. Gotta get washed to get clean.
Well, I just want to thank you for spending the time to help us out and give us some of your tips from what you learned through Tekken. So I appreciate that, Lofi.
Yeah, no, literally, honestly, I'm always chilling in the stream. I really like watching. I just like watching people play the game. I'm not gonna lie. I love the game, so. But honestly, anytime you want like any advice or anything like that, or maybe you want to like look for certain characters that you may want to learn or fight against, I can get some players for those characters as well.
Okay,
I
cool.
know.
I'll take you up on it.
I
That show you thing
I learned
interests me
a lot
at the
of
start. Cool. And do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mind if I edit this and well, not edit, but cut this and put it on YouTube on my channel?
Yeah, sure. I gotta check my social presence. This is not gonna say I've been thinking about this, so I gotta check what is my digital footprint and organize it now. Because
Yeah.
now I'm playing in tournament, and then Ayo Richie, which is he's like the best Leo player in the world.
So just to confirm, I can put this on my channel, or you cool with that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for that. I appreciate it. And Parody had a final question as well. Have you thought about playing a different character and why?
Honestly, I honestly no. Like the only time I ever played a different character was Clive when he came out, and I was going through some Leo hardship. I was like, man, Leo was in such a like annoying spot because the Leo's issue pre season 2 was I just need to understand he was they were the most inconsistent character in the world. Moves that were supposed to track would just straight up whiff when it was supposed to track. And it's frustrating to play a character where you do something that you know is supposed to work and it doesn't work. And it was just really irritating. So I took a break to play Clive, but then I was like, man, I just love Leo. There's really no other character to play. Clive's just boring. So no, I've never mained another character. I did try others when I was like taking a break or I was going through frustration, but I always come back to Leo. And now I never touch anyone else. I'm just a Leo specialist. I can't play anyone other than Leo. Like really, all my knowledge of the game is on Leo. So if I play a different character, it's actually hard to do counterplay that I've practiced.
Yeah.
Because my brain only works if I see Leo on the screen. I know everything and what I could do. If it's a different character, it's a problem.
Yeah, understood. It's kind of my feel on Xiaoyu, to be honest. Just at the same deal. I like reacting things as the Xiaoyu way. Parody says, okay,
Yeah,
thanks,
no.
Luffy. Really appreciate you taking the time to teach us things from Parody.
No problem, man.
Awesome.
No problem.
Well, I better go so I can have dinner and start the stream. But I appreciate this, Luffy. We're going to talk more. Keep in touch.
No problem.
Keep in touch, man. What's the time for you there? Just so it gives you an idea of like what days I need to stream to get you.
It's 4 a.m.
Okay, alright. So when I start, it's like way early. I gotcha. Alright, but maybe if I have a late one, we'll see. But I'll just send you some messages, or if anyone's got questions for you, I can always send them through.
Yeah, you can just send messages, and I want to see if I can get like a higher level Xiaoyu to answer some of the more character specific questions. But I can give fundamental answers for a lot of stuff when you're learning them, or some drills to learn certain things. At least what I do.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I'll try and absorb what you've said today, and then I'll see what that looks like, and then we probably like revisit how things are going. I guess would be the best way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me some time.
I'll be watching your stream regardless, so I don't know.
Also, I appreciate it. It's nice to meet you. That's really cool. Thanks very much for everything.
You're welcome. I hope I see you playing in tournament and things in the future.
That's the plan. That's why I said high level, but I gotta get to God first before that's in my journey.
Yeah, honestly, I think you should start like as soon as you can. I mean, even me, it took me. I won my first local, my first tournament in my region, and it took me, God forbid, I did that 2,000 hours later. Like I was already playing in them, like I came in top 8s in them, but I wasn't like good enough to win, and I finally won.
Wow,
right?
On Leo,
I
assume.
On Leo, yeah.
Crazy.
And it was great because I even beat the person who taught me the game when I first started. It was
Really?
the grand finals. I beat him, so it was like a really poetic moment of me growing. It wasn't really about the win; it was just about the growth.
Yeah.
And that's what I will leave as my final thing. Winning is never the goal. It's always about the growth. People who don't care about losing make the best decision. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's smart words, wise words too, right?
I mean, I'm stealing this. This is from you should read this book honestly if you want to. But there's a book by the best Street Fighter player to ever grace the earth, Daigo Umehara. He had a book.
Okay.
That book is amazing.
What's the name? Daigo Maha.
Daigo Umehara. The will to
Umehara.
keep winning.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Ebook, I assume, or like physical copy.
You could get it. There's an audiobook on YouTube if you want to read. If you want to listen to that.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, it's good to talk to you. I'll see you next time.
See you next time, man.
Take care,
I hope
man.
you have a good one.
You too. All the best. Have a good sleep.
All the best.
Man, that was sick, guys. How lucky did we get with that? It's always good to get a high-level player, right? To teach us some stuff. It's like better than just us guessing. Though if you're already high level, then you guys are fine, but I'm not. Anyway, I gotta stop the stream now, so hopefully anyone that was there that was watching that enjoyed it. I appreciate that, Lofi. We'll talk more. But yeah, the stream will start in 2 hours. It'll be the Smash stream, and they'll be followed by the Tekken 8. We got a low spam today. I guess today is an education day, just by chance. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I appreciate that, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.